welcome to the IAJF Young Leadership Challah Bake event. My name is Nancy Shillian. I'll be moderating the event tonight. So excited to finally have this come to fruition and get all of us together. If you're not familiar, the IAJF, we try to unite those of Iranian Jewish heritage and celebrate our heritage, bring people together and give back to the community. And tonight's event, we're doing it with our challah bake. A few housekeeping things. Everyone will be muted by default when they enter the chat. We request that you stay muted the whole time. If you have a question, you are welcome to type it into the chat, and whoever is available will answer your question. If it's an urgent question and you're still confused, feel free to unmute yourself and ask Reyna, and just be sure to remute yourself afterwards for the piece of the event. And recipes are placed in the group chat right now for your reference, so you can go back and forth, along with one of Reyna's YouTube videos, a how-to YouTube video for one of her challah baking, so that you can check out later on. And I would love to introduce our lovely host, Reyna Simnegar. She is the author of the best-selling book, Persian Food by the Non-Persian Bride, which I believe is a staple of every Persian household. And it's just ironic that it took a non-Persian bride to write the #1 Persian cookbook, but it's definitely the best, and we highly recommend you get your own copy. And copies have recently been replenished on Amazon and it's available on Prime. Just be sure to buy it directly from her. Her seller name is Kosher LLC.
Exotic kosher.
And a little bit about Reyna, interesting facts about her is she's originally from Venezuela, but she has crypto-Jewish ancestry from Spain. She tracked down some of her ancestors, which were crypto-Jews during the Spanish Inquisition. And she wrote a lot about it in her new memoir that's coming out soon, where she discusses more about this interesting part of her heritage. And we encourage you all to look out for that as well. Reyna is happily married to a Shirazi Jewish man, which has encouraged her into the life of Persian Jewish cooking. And she's a pro. I personally have sat at her dinner table in Boston, and I have been blessed with her talent. And her husband and their lovely family are big staples of the Persian Jewish community and the Jewish community at large in the Boston area. They give back to the community greatly. And once again, thank you so much for being here. And with no further ado, Reyna, our hostess.
Thank you, guys. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Nancy, I love you. Nancy was here in Harvard, smart girl, God bless her. And I literally, this is one of the women who actually made the best of her short time in Boston. A lot of people come to Boston and they don't make any friends. They just come and go. And she literally has everyone missing her like crazy here. So we love her so much. And thank you, love. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to be here with all of you. I have you guys. I can see everybody who lets me see them. And if you have any questions, you can also raise your hand, or you can, even interrupt, whatever. Like, I'm just happy to answer any questions that you may have, as long as I can see if you have a question. We're gonna start. The first thing I want to share with you is a little bit about challah, and then maybe when we talk about this, more people will join, because I know that you guys are expecting a little bit more participants. So what I want to tell you is that I learned all these things from, I became Jewish 23 years ago, and it's been a long time making challah, as you can see. And I have learned this from a lot of rabbis, a lot of rabbinites, a lot of friends. I have to thank someone called Rachel Miller. He's an amazing challah teacher in Jerusalem, in Israel. And my friend Naomi Elbert also has an amazing challah guide. And I have to tell you, this is nothing that's coming from me, just really me passing the torch to you guys. And I hope that you pass the torch to other people, teach your friends, teach your children. I love it that Maya is here with her mommy. I don't know who else here. Here, Marshmallow is with her mommy. It's Nancy's dog. Anyway, so I'm just happy to be able to share this with you. And I'm even more happy to see some familiar faces like my friend Lauren and some other people. What I want to say is that we women were given a lot of power in Judaism, and we have been robbed from knowing our real, true, amazing power. And as an Orthodox woman, I have definitely become aware of this power and aware of this, and we Jews in general, men and women. I was talking about it with the girls yesterday that I feel like sometimes I'm like a Harry Potter kind of like, you know, feeling where we have all these magical powers that come with making brachot and come with making incantations that have been formulated by rabbis that have done this for hundreds, thousands of years, that have given us these gifts. And we can't see the sparks and the lightning right now, but we really need to understand. And if you have ever prayed for someone who is sick and they have had a Virtual Challah Bake, they have a recovery, you know that there is power in prayer and there is power in what we do. And we women have been gifted with 3 particular mitzvot that belong to us. And these mitzvot, of course, that women can do whatever, you know, we all know here that we can do whatever we want. But it happens that these particular mitzvot call for us. One of them is a mikvah. And through mikvah, we bring life, which is, who else can do that? We do candles on Friday night, and through candles, we light up the neshama of our husband, the neshama of our children. We have the power of lighting somebody up and, you know, turning on the fire in them. And we have challah, and challah is actually the power of bringing forth vitality to the world. And we were given this amazing, entrusted this power. In other words, challah itself is what I like to call wonder bread. Wonder bread, literally like the brand, it's really hard to make when you think about it. Right now you have your ingredients in front of you. Hopefully you guys had time to put them together. You require water. So back in the time you had to go to the well and dig water out. You required what else? Sugar. It's hard to find. Honey, hard to go to the beehive and get honey. You require yeast. Difficult to find back in those times. Like if you have bread, you were fortunate. Salt, go to a salt mine and mine some salt. And then flour. Have you guys ever made flour from scratch? Like in a, you know, they have this matzah places. Maya, you've probably been in one of those matzah little get-togethers that Chabad does. And then you make flour from literally from scratch. It's very hard to make flour. You need to harvest and you do this. In fact, 11 out of the 39 melachot of Shabbat, which are the prohibitions in Shabbat, 11 of them are about making flour. That's how difficult it is to really create this mitzvah. With that said, it is important to know that Hashem created man, and man created challah, meaning women created challah. And with that said, it's amazing that we were given all these resources, and we were able to take these resources and make them into this amazing fluffy cloud of perfection. And that's what we women are incredibly particularly experts at. We can take a child, we can take another human, we can take a husband, and we can take this form of a person, and we can somehow, we have this magic, we can bring up the best in this person because we have that power, and we can also bring up the worst in this person. So we have that power of creating vitality in the world and bringing the most incredible things out of a human being, like we do with challah. With that said, it is said that the world consumes and consumes and consumes. And when we Jews say brachot, in particular, men, we Jews in general, for example, say that you have an apple and you say a blessing on an apple, there's another apple. I'm not joking. This is like according to Kabbalah, another apple is born, it grows in a tree somewhere else. So every time you say a blessing on an apple, a blessing on something, blessing on water, there is more water in a river. You know, that's basically how the magic works. And we women, every time we say a blessing onto something, we particularly have the power of replenishing in Israel. So Israel gets replenished by the brachot that women make in particular. So imagine the kind of power that we have that force. And I feel like very, very powerful knowing that every time I say a blessing on something, particularly into bread, it means that someone in Israel is going to be blessed with that particular item that I'm blessing. Another thing is that basically I want to walk you through all the ingredients. I want to give you tips on each ingredient with regards to basically the chemistry of making bread, which is super interesting to me. I went to school for chemical engineering. I love the chemistry of yeast and flour and water and all that. And I also want to walk you through the spiritual aspect of making challah. So we're gonna basically marry both. And if you want a pen, you can write down everything I'm giving you, because these little bits of tips are really, really helpful for the rest of your life when it comes down to making challah. A lot of people before making challah, obviously put their ingredients out, which you can see here. All my ingredients have been set up, and I like setting up my ingredients in little dishes. That's why they sell these little dishes, not because they're cute, but because really the best thing is to measure ingredients. And it's not just for challah, but it's also for all the recipes that you want to accomplish. What happens sometimes, you're baking, a kid comes in the room, Mommy, blah, 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 or like a friend, and then they put salt. They're not put salt. I have no idea if I put salt. But if you measure everything before, I guarantee you, if you get into that good, it's like good housekeeping, doing that, then you realize that you're never gonna forget any ingredient. You always have all the ingredients at hand, and it's just gonna be so much easier to clean up because you don't have this huge amount of flour and all that stuff going all over the place. Everything's measured and neat. And I particularly love measured and neat. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is that we're gonna proof our yeast. I like making sure my yeast is alive. It is extremely hard to kill yeast, to be honest with you. The only way that you can really truly kill yeast is by adding water that's too hot, which is funny because yeast is basically representative of spiritual growth. And when you make someone's life miserable, adding heat to their everyday life and making it hard like an inferno, then what happens? That person can't grow, right? If you praise that person over and over again, that person can grow. So same thing with yeast. If you have too much water that is too hot, you will kill it. As simple as that. Just like you can do that with a person. And you'll see that making challah really mirrors making a mensch, making a person. And that's what's really beautiful. Hashem made us like literally kneading the ground, kneading the dirt, and we are making a person by kneading the dough, and we women are given that spirit. So yeast, let's talk about yeast for a second. I buy that Red Start. It's called active dry yeast. This is one I get it in Costco. You can get it also in the small jars, the regular supermarket. It comes a vacuum, which keeps it fresher, and when it comes vacuum, when you open it, it goes, like you can hear the vacuum opening up. I keep it in the freezer in a Ziploc bag, or you can put it in one of the OXO, like plastic containers. It's called active dry yeast. Even though it's active, which it means that even if you put it in water that's not warm, it will still grow. And what happens is when you go to a Chabad Challah Bake, where they have 500 women baking challah, they don't even proof the yeast. They don't make sure the yeast is alive. They just add it in the dough, and usually we're using obviously always active dry yeast. I don't use fresh yeast. What happens, this basically is fresh yeast that has been dehydrated. So I like bringing this one to life. How do you do that? Here we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of that yeast into a bowl, okay? To this, we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of sugar. Ta-da! Add a 1/4 cup of sugar. And mix them together. Why yeast and sugar? Sugar makes yeast grow. What is the chemical reaction that's happening there? Basically, yeast eats away the sugar and it bubbles up and grows as it eats it. To make things faster, you usually add warm water. And when it starts bubbling, then you realize that the yeast is alive. The recipe that I have, which is the 5-pound recipe, calls for a 1.5 cups of water. With that said, the secret of getting the right temperature is this one. For those who have children, you want to make sure that if you put the water in your wrist, you don't feel it at all. That's called lukewarm. If you put the water in your wrist, you don't feel that it's cold, you don't feel that it's hot. You just don't feel anything. You're like, wow, it's like nothing's happened. That's a lukewarm water. If it's hotter than that, you could kill your yeast. all right? The secret here in my particular recipe is 3/4 cup of boiling water plus 3/4 cup of regular water. And I'm gonna go right back there. I have a water urn. I'm gonna fill it up to 3/4 cup. And then I'm gonna add another 1/4 cup. I'm gonna touch this, my husband is totally. Hello.
Hi, how are you? What's for dinner?
Challah. When you touch it, it's nice and warm, but it's not killing you, you know what I mean? It's like lukewarm. So we're gonna add that to our yeast and sugar, and that's going to activate it. Mix it a little bit, but I don't want to mix it too much. I want to usually let it be. If it starts bubbling, it should take less than 5 minutes. If it starts bubbling and rising, you know that yeast is just perfect. And I know this bag is perfect because I already made challah from that bag. I put it on the side, as you saw. This is exactly what it is. And while I am mixing other things, it's gonna start growing. If the water is all murky and the yeast kind of falls to the bottom and there's no bubbles at all on the top, just start from scratch. You just killed it. Sometimes it happens, the yeast comes dead, and then you can't do anything about it. But always proof your yeast, because there's nothing like working really hard on your dough and then realizing it's just a rock, right? We don't want that. So proof, proof, proof is my recommendation. Okay, so next, we're gonna start adding things to our mixer. Why do I use a mixer? Because I'm doing 5 pounds of flour. It's a lot of flour for me to mix by hand. I have done it many times. I can do it, but why do that to anybody? My favorite mixers, okay. Definitely to make challah, my favorite mixer is this is the challah. This is the mixer that you want to get if you plan to say brachot in your challah. This is the bowl you want to get. I'll show it to you. It's a metal bowl, and you want to get the dough hook on the bowl. Okay, so when I close that.
I have a quick question. Our internet got a little disconnected. Did you put the sugar and the yeast together in a bowl and then add hot water?
Correct.
Okay,
That's
great. Thank you.
We're activating that yeast, and the yeast is basically bubbling and eating the sugar. I wish that yeast in my body ate the sugar, but guess what happens? My fat cells.
That would be really nice.
Wouldn't that be nice? Maybe let's chug a bunch of yeast. So yes, what happens is when you put the hot water, it activates the yeast, and it tells the yeast, get filled up again with water, come alive again. And the yeast says, okay, give me food. The sugar becomes food. He activates it, becomes a detonant, and starts growing. That's what happens, okay? All right, here we go next.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, next we're gonna start adding our ingredients. I'm gonna walk you through that. We have more sugar, and it's right here. Make sure that before. This is 1.5 cups. The sugar is a little bit brown. I'm just using organic sugar because that's what I have at home, and I try to be as healthy as possible, but you can use whatever sugar you have at home. I'm gonna try to show you, bring you a little closer here so that you can see a little closer. So I put the sugar. I'm gonna add some oil. Okay. Here is the oil. So as I am adding these ingredients, what I try to think about is their meaning. When you put meaning on everything, I remember there's a rabbi that I learned from them, even when there's pain in this world, like there's a meaning to pain, even when you're going through childbirth, you're getting a baby at the end, even when you're like, cleaning after your dog and the dog is crying in the middle of the night because the dog is do that, and you know that he's gonna be cute and fluffy at the end, even if you're going through difficulties in your marriage, but you know that you have to look forward to, you have to choose connection. That is basically when you give it meaning of why you're doing what you're doing, then the whole thing changes. Attitude is everything. When it comes down to sugar, represents sweetness, and sweetness really, really helps. Like they say, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. That is really true. So basically, those are the kind of things that I think about when I'm making challah. The next one is oil. I use canola oil. Vegetable oil has no vegetables in it, let me tell you. Canola oil is much better. The truth is you can use whichever oil you like. This is the oil that I like because it doesn't have any flavor, but you can also use an olive oil without flavor. So oil represents anointing, and it used to be that in Israel, people used to anoint the king. And what I think about when I do the oil, I think about anointing each one of my children and my friends and my loved ones with health, happiness, and good things in their life, and only brachot and only good things. And that's basically they used to anoint people on the head with, you know, in their head with oil. And that's basically what I think about, right? We women, this is basically here. I was telling the people, my kitchen is my office in my personal life. That's how it works. And this is my temple. So basically here I am in my mini temple, my mini dash, and adding some oil and anointing everyone for good blessings. The next thing that I add is going to be salt. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about salt. As you can see here, that is pink salt. Pink salt, also known as Himalayan. I buy the gigantic one from Costco, but you don't have to, I can get the smaller one. Pink salt has a lot of minerals. What happens is with the minerals is that it's going to slow down the process of the yeast eating the air and the sugar from the bread. There's good things and bad things about this. I'm going to explain to you in a second. Also, sugar that has more minerals is going to give a better taste to everything that you make. I'm going to add a tablespoon of sugar. A lot of times what I do, sugar also represents criticism, right? We talked about the chemical part of the sugar and what it does to bread. And we're going to talk about the spiritual part of the sugar. I take some out with my finger and I add it up because it is representing spiritually criticism. And the more we criticize someone, the less that person can grow spiritually, right? We're making a person, we're making challah. So what we need to understand is when we want to tell someone something that's difficult, it's going to be difficult for them to hear. We need to know that we need to have money in the bank. What does it mean? You want to make a withdrawal from the bank, right? You go to the ATM machine to make a withdrawal cash. You need to have some money there to begin with, right? You can't take money out if you don't have any money in the account. We wish we could, but we can't, right? So what happens is when we're going to tell someone something that's going to be difficult for them to hear, it means a withdrawal from our bank of relationship with them. So what happens is if we don't have enough praises between me and that person, and we can think that by being nice and we're going to, you know, I'm going to tell her what to do, I'm going to tell him what to do because I'm trying to be nice, I'm trying to do the best for them. The reality is that you could be actually distancing yourself from that person if you don't have enough money in the bank, enough praises in the bank. For every criticism you give someone, you have to give them 4 praises. That is a mathematical equation. And you'll see that that's going to make a huge difference between you and the relationship with somebody else. Why is it good to add salt to slow down the process of making challah? Let's go back to the chemical part of it. Here's what happens. The longer that it takes for challah to rise, the yummier it will be in terms of taste, the more the gluten will be created, the higher the protein, and that means the fluffier, more delicious challah for you. That's why I have learned that we should grow the challah actually in the refrigerator, contrary to what you've been taught your whole life, proofing the challah. If you manage to make challah on Friday, you want to make it Thursday night, put it in the fridge and let it grow through the night. And the next day, you're going to see the huge difference when you add Himalayan salt and let it grow through the night slowly. You're going to realize what a huge difference it makes in like big, fluffy chalot. It makes a huge difference. Right now, it's very, very hot. And even the dough that I made earlier for you guys to see, that dough is like literally like spilling all out in the refrigerator because it's so hot. If you want to make challah right away, just do it with warm water. All your ingredients should be warm. If you want to make challah the next day, just make sure that only the proofing is warm and all the other ingredients are cold, all right? Okay, so we have our sugar, we have our oil, we have our salt. Some challah recipes call for egg. No, my challah recipes used to say hamot, and it's actually really good for, and also is good for dipping into Nutella. So it's good to I'm gonna add some water. I have 3 cups of water here.
For the small recipe, sorry, how much sugar did you put in? Like not for the yeast, for the main recipe.
So the recipes that I give you guys for the small one, you want to tell me how many cups of flour are you using? Are you using 3.5 cups?
3.5.
Or you're using
3.5.
So for the 3.5, that one is that was the one that I did for the Boston. That's the one I told you that they use the active yeast and they don't proof the active yeast. So as long as your water is warm, you're gonna be okay.
Okay.
If your yeast hopefully is active. If not, just proof your yeast. It says 1 package of yeast, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 cup of warm water. That there is for proofing your yeast. All right.
Okay.
And then you can add all the other ingredients. The salt always goes last because the salt, not that it kills the yeast, it slows down the process of growth. All right. So here we go. So we have, I added some water. I took water, you added some water. This is for the big recipe. And I already measured my flour. Okay. So here's my flour. I'm going to start adding flour to this. I usually start with like half the bag. And I start adding slowly, 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 and mixing it together. Okay. I'm going to turn my mixer on, and it's going to start mixing, okay? And you guys should be mixing yours too. All right. Hopefully I'll put, put a little bit more. I don't want it to splash all over my face. Ah! Okay, which is happening. I love getting dirty with this. I'm kidding, I don't love getting dirty. All right, here we go. Okay, as you can see, it's already becoming pretty, like that soft, but still very loose though. At this point, since the salt has already been mixed with all the other ingredients, it's safe to add the yeast. And look what happened to the yeast. Check it out. That's exactly what you want. Remember that murky water that was pretty low is grown, and look at all those bubbles. Right? So we're gonna be adding the yeast. I'm gonna add the yeast. Make sure I add every bit of it. You see there. Okay. And after that, I'm going to keep on adding some flour. And again, you might be doing this by hand. It's much easier when you're doing fewer cups of flour. Much easier. To say a bracha, you need to have at least 12 cups of flour. I can tell you at least 12 and 2/3, I believe. So I'll tell you exactly the number of cups of flour that you need to have. But again, cups is an approximation because usually it's by weight. So 12.25 cups of flour is enough to make a blessing, to separate and make a blessing. Up to 8 cups and 2/3, you don't do anything. And after between 8 cups and 2/3 and 12.25, you separate without the blessing. I know it's complicated. I'll say it again. 0 to 8 and 2/3, you don't say anything, you don't do anything to the dough. 8 and 2/3 to 12.25, you separate without a blessing. You separate a piece of the dough around an ounce, the size of an egg. You put it outside in foil, and you're gonna burn that. And then without saying a blessing, and then from 12.25 to as many cups as you want, then you say a bracha and you separate. Okay, I'm gonna put this again. The water. Flour. Water. I'm gonna keep on adding flour. That was all my liquid ingredients. And now this is the moment of truth. I like mixing 3 to 5 minutes. Why is it the moment of truth? Can you all hear me? Thumbs up? No? Okay. I wanna show you something. As you can see, my dough is mixing. It's a little sticky here, not sticky here. This is extremely important. It's gonna make all the difference for your dough. The dough is ready, not when you're finished the bag of 5 pounds flour, not when you're done with every single cup of flour that you have. The flour is just a suggestion, and I know it's humidity of the humid is going to make your meat go stickier. Don't know it doesn't. I feel like it was. Are you ever hearing me? Okay. So when it comes down to flour, we want to make sure that we take it easy. You can Are we good? We're on again.
Hi, Reyna, we kind of lost you for a couple of minutes. You froze and then kind of disappeared. So you started explaining about how the how it was very important beyond just the flour and the water. Right. You got to this. It's not just about the flour, not just about the water, but, and then we kind of lost you. So can you just go back over that, please?
Okay, so tell me again, you lost me at the when I was talking about the flour. That was my last part was the flour, right?
Yeah, this last 2 minutes where you were explaining about the most important piece besides
No
adding the
problem.
flour and the water. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, how are we gonna know when our dough is ready? We have here a dough that's still very sticky. So some parts sticky, some parts not. You know your dough is ready from the bowl. But that's not. I'm still frozen. Can you hear me, Tova?
Now we can.
Okay, so we don't add necessarily all the cups of flour that we're given. We're gonna start slowly. You can always add flour. You can never take it back. So I'm gonna keep on mixing.
Question for you, Reyna. For 3.5 pounds of flour, do you separate with a bracha?
For what?
For
3.5.
3.5 pounds of flour, do you separate with a bracha?
No, you only separate with the bracha for 12.25 cups of flour. Okay? Only when you have. You separate without a bracha at 8 2/3. Okay?
What if our dough is not like wet enough or sticky enough, Reyna?
Yeah, mine is very dry.
So,
Try
so
and
if your dough is very dry, try
this.
adding much water. Hold on. Add a little bit of oil first. Oil always makes it work. Let it sit. Let it rest. Add a little bit of dough. I mean, a little bit of oil. And then if it's still hard, add a few drops of water. Okay, and then work it. All right. I'll show you here. Mixing this one. If your dough is too sticky, guys working the dough?
I think everyone's focused on their dough.
Okay. I'm gonna show you here. Basically, this is still not even mixed now. You see there is a little parts of still flour and then there's still parts of dough. You wanna make sure that it's really well mixed. You wanna make sure that it looks like Play-Doh, all right, basically. You guys all remember Play-Doh? All parents hate it, it's love it. All right. See, I did not use all my flour. My dough is ready. I'm going to show you how you. I want you to see that the flour. I want to show you here. As you can see, the dough separated from my mixer completely. It's not sticky to my touch. It doesn't stick to anything. To take the dough out of here, I'm going to spray some oil in my hands to handle that dough, all right? I'm going to put it on the bowl where I'm going to spray it with, also with hand, with oil.
It's very crumbly. Not coming out.
Okay, Nika, is that you're asking me a question?
Yes, my dough is like not getting, I added oil too, but it's not coming together.
Add some water. Add some water to your dough. Add some water.
Okay.
Ladies,
Water.
before it becomes like that, don't put all the flour first, okay? Add a little bit of flour at a time, all right? Don't let it get like that. Okay, very good. Let's see. Nika, add a little bit of water, honey, and then you'll be okay. So, to take the oil out, I'm sorry, the challah out, you don't want to pull the challah, you always want to cut it, because when you pull it, you're breaking the strands that the gluten has created. Okay, so you want to basically cut it like that, and I start adding it to my bowl, just like that, just like that. So there. How is everybody else doing with their dough? You want to show me, guys? I see Lauren is ready. Maya, how is your dough going? Beautiful. Okay. How about Monica? You look like you're working your dough. Oh, okay. Very nice. Nika, how is that going, honey?
It's okay. It's coming together.
Slowly coming together, right? Don't overdo the water, okay? Just slowly let it also let it rest as you go. Okay, let's see who else we have here. Sabrina, you look like you're right on working really hard. Oh, look at that. Very good. You know, Sabrina is doing something very important. She's wearing gloves. Why is that very important? Not because of COVID, but because your hands are warm. With warm hands, the dough will become even stickier. So you want to make sure.
You're doing something.
The pizza with mushrooms for me?
No,
Dad said he wants it too.
we're doing that later.
Okay, so you want to make sure that you don't have warm hands so that your dough doesn't stick everywhere to your hands. And when you wear gloves, you keep the heat from your body away from the dough, and the dough has more chances to making it. Okay, I'm going to take this mixer out of the way, and I'm going to show you how to separate challah right now. Okay, can you guys see this? Okay, as you can see, this is the dough. It still needs to rest. When the dough rests, and it means that the gluten gets formed. Okay. I'm going to spray it. Oh, wait, before I spray, I want to say the bracha. Okay. So this is what I want to tell you. There is difference between the bracha and the customs in Sephardi and Ashkenazi brothers and sisters and Sephardi. And what I want to say is, usually you can do obviously whichever bracha makes you happier. And the one that I do is this particular one. And again, you can follow your family's minhag or whichever minhag you decide to take upon yourself. And usually what we do is this: we take a piece of the dough, Sephardim hold on to it before, cutting it off, and Ashkenazim usually cut it right off, and then they say the bracha. So Sephardim hold on to it before saying the bracha, and then Ashkenazim say the bracha. These are little details, but now you have, now you know basically what it's like for every custom. So it's nice to know other people's minhagim. So the bracha that I say, usually I say Psalm 90. And there is basically one word in that psalm that talks about returning. And this is a moment where you really want to concentrate. You want to say a bracha that's very important, because this bracha has a lot of segulot for people to get married, merits for people to have children. Very, very, very special blessing to be said. And here's a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehafrish challah teruma. And then I raise the challah and I say harif suv challah, which means this is challah. So we think we're making challah, but truly we're just basically making an offering, and we're sharing this with the priests in Israel, God willing, when Moshiach comes and all that. And what we do, we put it in foil, like this, and that we're going to burn in the oven. Some people put it in the freezer, and they wait until before Pesach to burn it. I just burn it right away because I don't, otherwise it starts accumulating in my freezer. Okay, now that I have that and I have separated, I'm going to spray a little bit of oil to create a nice moist surface, and I'm going to cover it with plastic. That. Okay. Should be covered completely with plastic to keep it moist. If you don't have plastic, you can also use a wet towel to cover your dough, to keep it without creating that little skin that could create on the top. Okay, I'm cutting with plastic. There we go. And if you're gonna bake it right away, you want to make sure, I'll cover that later. I'll put it aside. You can put it close to an oven, you can put it close to the stove top like I just did, or you can just freeze it. This is what I do, because I let it grow in the refrigerator like I told you, and I take it out in the morning. I actually put it in a bucket, or you can also put it in a plastic bag, in a big garbage bag that's not scented. I'll show you the one that I made for you guys. It's right here. It's been rising for a while, so look at it. He gained some weight. It's good. She's happy. Look at that. So this bucket I buy on Amazon. I can send you the link. And what I do is I cover it with plastic, like I just did. I put it in the refrigerator. Sometimes I put it inside of a bag, so that way if it spills over in the fridge, it will spill into the bag. So I want you to think about, on Shabbat, how many kalot do we need for Shabbat to say the blessing? 2, right? So the same thing I want you to think about when it comes to challah. You need to make the rice twice. First rice and the second rice. The first rice is what this dough did. The second rice is what's going to happen next before I put it in the oven. I want to know how many of you guys are done with your dough, so that way you let it sit and you let it do this, double up. Well, I am going to show you how to do a few breaks, okay? Because you need to let it rise for around 20 minutes to 1 hour. It is probably warm in your home right now. It is, after all, the summer. So these should happen really fast. It happened really fast for me. So check it out. I'm gonna put gloves on again because I don't want it to happen too fast. And I'm gonna spray my hands with oil, and I'm gonna show you a few really cool shapes. I would like for you guys to put your challah on the side like I just did, on the ball like this, to rest while it rises. I'm gonna show you these things, okay? I'm gonna show you some really fun shapes so that you can make yourself. I'll make some space, and I'm gonna direct the camera to the countertop. This is the one I'm gonna burn. I have two because I made 2 batches for you guys. I'm gonna actually put it in the oven right now to burn this. That after burning it, we'll go to the garbage. Why do we burn it? Because it is truly a precious thing. It's challah. That what I just put in the oven is really challah, and we need to burn it just like we would burn. What is it called? When we have things that books, well, actually those we bury. But this one we burn it because we don't, it's like it's something that you don't want to throw in the garbage. You know what I mean? It has to be completely unusable. You throw it in the garbage, it's like lack of respect. You know what I mean? So I love this. This is basically a baking mat that I use to shape my challah. I'm gonna show you here. I'm gonna direct this to the table.
Reyna, where'd you get the baking mat? That's awesome.
The baking mat, I got it from, I think I got it from Bed Bath & Beyond, if I'm not mistaken. But you can really truly get this also from Amazon. Honestly, like you can get everything on Amazon.
I destroy my counter on a weekly basis, so that's helpful. Thank you. Thank you.
So the good thing also is that I'm working on a cold surface, which is like this granite. And what that means is that my dough strands are not going to be too, they're not going to grow too fast. So I have time to show you guys all that stuff. Okay, so I'm going to actually move this a little bit further away so that you can see, and I can see you guys I'm working on it. So I want you to have this view so that you can make the shapes. You know what I mean? So I'm going to punch the dough down, and spray myself with oil. Punch it down. It's cold from the refrigerator. When it's cold from the refrigerator, you should truly let it cool down. If you want to freeze challah, what I do is the best time to freeze it is between the first rise and the second rise. In other words, right now, I could make my loaves. I could freeze them in like trays for like any plastic tray or anything like that. I could freeze them. I could put them in bags, and I could keep them frozen like that. And then when I want to use them, I take them out, let it defrost for around 6 hours, let it grow, and then glaze them and put them in the oven. And that's the best time to freeze your dough, okay? If you don't want to freeze your dough when it's already shaped, then just put it in little Ziploc bags or in little plastic bags, divide it by like the loaf, and then you can, when it's defrosted, then you can braid it. But I like freezing it braided if I need to, because it's already done. But most of the time I make the challah and I just let it go the next day, make it Thursday night, and then Friday I wake up with perfect dough in the oven, I just take it out and I make it, okay? Usually you need to let it go to room temperature. And I want to handle it a little bit, but you don't want to handle it too much. You don't want it to get too cold. So I'm gonna cut most of it off. And I'm going to put everything in the bucket so that it doesn't dry out. It's back in the bucket. Plastic on top of it. Plastic, I'm going to spray with oil, put plastic on it. This bucket comes with a lid. I can, I will probably, what I can do is my Instagram, I can put I can't put a link, but I can put a picture on my challah highlights where to buy this bucket on Amazon, and it comes with a lid, so it's great because it keeps the challah moist and it doesn't let it dry out. So I do my bucket like that, and spray it. What I usually do is I actually weigh each strand so that it is perfectly shaped, and each one is the same exact shape. My ideal strand weighs 6.5 ounces. So if you want to do that, if you have a weight, you can go ahead and do that. If you have no patience and you're like, whatever, then you just get creative. The first challah I want to teach you, you know what? You guys will probably know how to make a braid. So I want to teach you some specialty chalot. And then we can do braids if anybody's interested in braids. But the first challah I want to teach you is actually a super easy one. And it's a garlic challah. It's like garlic bread. It's my husband's favorite, absolutely favorite. Second challah is going to be an onion challah. It's a little bit more Sephardi. It's filled with onion. It's a really cool shape of it. So what you want to do is that you want to, this again is going to, this is going to be growing. So this will be exponentially bigger. I'm going to put this aside. What I want to do is I want to make a mock, like a mock challah, like that, right? See, just make the shape pretend like it's a challah. I'm going to take my tray. You see, this is a tray here that I also have another baking mat. I love this thing, as you can see. This is super easy to make. I make my mock challah there. I take a knife, or also you can take a dough cutter. This is a dough cutter. It comes with measurements, and you just cut your dough with it. But guess what? A knife is the same thing. And this is what you're gonna do, all right? There's a challah. I want to make sure you can see that. You're going to basically pretend like you're cutting it like this, but not all the way down. That. And then like that. And to this, I'm going to add this mixture. This is margarine, garlic, salt, and a few herbs. What I do is I stick the mixture in between the dough like that. So you can see, can you guys all see that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is basically garlic challah. I stick it in there like that, in between. As it grows, that is going to get trapped in between the challah, and it's going to be amazing. Okay.
Can you repeat what that mixture is, please?
Yeah. Take 1 stick of margarine, add 1 teaspoon of granulated garlic. I say an 1/8 to a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You know, I just do this, but basically salt. If your margarine is not salted. If it's salted, don't add salt. You can also add, I added this. This is, what is it? Herbs of Provence. Just like a mixture of herbs that you can add. Basically, this is a mixture of thyme, marjoram, savory, rosemary, basil, sage, lavender. But you can add whichever you want of those. Dried parsley, dried oregano. And then maybe a little bit of onion powder if you have, and that's it. So what I want to do now is to keep it contained. I'm going to take a baking pan. I'm going to cut some parchment paper. And I'm going to drop it in there. Okay? Do you guys see that? If it's Shavuot or if something dairy, it's never dairy time in my house. I live with a Christian man. There's no such a thing as a dairy meal. If it's like that, you can actually add parmesan on the top, parmesan, or like cheese, any kind of cheese, like maybe mozzarella. But this is not this is for Shabbat, so I'm not going to do it dairy. And what I'll do is I'm going to paint it with egg. For the glaze, I like to do two egg yolks and an egg white. Include a little bit of glaze. And then if you want to give it a little bit more of a good look to it, you can add a little bit more of your herbs on the top. And I'm going to drizzle it with olive oil as well. Okay, and that's it. I'm gonna let it double its size. I'm gonna put it aside. I'm gonna let it grow, and that is that easy. It is super, super easy. I just wanted to show you that that's something that you can do. And then imagine on Shabbat evening, you make sure that you put that in the warming drawer or put it on the blech, and that thing's gonna be warm as you cut it. Everyone's gonna want a piece of basically challah garlic. It's so, so delicious. So that's one type that you can make. My husband's favorite is the following. Is onion challah. He loves onion stuffed challah. I take a small onion and I chop it, and I actually added salt to this, and I'm gonna add a tiny bit of sugar. I don't want to forget that because the sugar will bring it up the flavor. Okay. Salt, sugar, and I'm gonna add olive oil. So onion, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar, and olive oil. We're gonna mix this together. Mix it together. As you can see, you basically want something like that. I'm gonna take again a nice piece of dough. About, I imagine about this size. Imagine you're holding a challah about like that. I'm gonna roll it like a rectangle. I'm gonna put the camera down. I want to show you, this one is a metal rolling pin, and it's important to use the metal because again it keeps it cold, and you want to make sure that it gives you time to work, right? So I'm rolling it, make some space. You're gonna see this shape is actually very, very pretty, and we're going to be using this. If you guys have a bun pin, you want to use this. I'm gonna show you how it's done. So we're gonna make the rectangle. As thin as you can. How are the dough? Is your dough growing, guys? I hope you guys are all done.
Mine is not as fluffy as yours yet.
Not yet. Okay, no, it takes time. It takes time.
How long should I let it rise for?
I think that at least 20 minutes to an hour, you should let it rise. But it should, I'll show you what the secret is.
Okay.
Mine is still, look, the one I just made, it has grown, as you can see that, right? So when you press it with 2 fingers, you want to see an indentation. But if it's not giving enough, that means that it's not ready yet. It takes about an hour to get the full rise, all right? So I'm going to keep on making this very thin. This is the same way you make babka, by the way. Make it very, very thin. Okay. As you can see, there's a rectangle. We're going to now think of it, this is half of the rectangle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut we're gonna make stripes of dough like that. Make sure don't cut your mat. That. All right, you see that? And you're gonna make braids with those, like this. So 3-strand braid. Everyone watching? There's 1. There's 2. And then you're gonna do that with all of them. I think all of you guys probably know how to make the 3-strand braid. Very simple. You take 3 strands and you basically put each of them in the middle of the other one. Middle, 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 and that's how you make them. Okay, so you can see we have like mini braids here. It's like someone's hair and we're like braiding their hair, right? Strand there. And then the last one, I only have 2 left, not a big deal. I'll just twist them together like this. Okay, make sure I extend this way. I extend my dough as much as you can. Right? I am going to now add the onion I mixed. With the onion. Little. Should make it really, really flat. I'm going to get a spatula to do that. So, see there's onion everywhere. You can also grind this onion completely, like you're making only 2 months. Right? So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna roll it this way. Trying to keep the onion inside. Okay? As you're rolling it, you're gonna see what happens with this braids. They actually start rolling around the dough like that. See that? Now we take our pan, spray it. Take a roll. And we'll place it inside the pan. Fuse the ends together. As you can see, this is what it looks like. So it's braid, and then inside is filled with onion. This is going to grow to fill this up. Okay, so that's that. So we've done 2 that you probably or maybe have never seen before, hopefully. Something new. Have you guys made a fish braid before? A fish tail braid, not a fish tail. I'm going to show you a fish tail. It's very pretty, actually. So, how do I make strands? This is also very, very important. I don't do this. Some people like want to do like Play-Doh and start doing this, right? I do not do that. I'll show you what I do. A little bit of flour. Again, I like weighing my dough, but this time I'm not going to do it just for the purpose of making sure that everybody's in there. I take a ball of dough and I flatten it with my rolling pin. See? Flatten it. Once it's flat, like that, I'm gonna roll it. And that is a strand. See, because it's perfectly well done like that. And it grows, as you can see there. When it grows exponentially. So that makes for a beautiful strand. And then make another one. Flatten it. That. And I roll it. It's another strand. Perfectly done. So for that challah, we need 4. So I'm making some more. If you want to fill a challah with goodies in the middle, this is a moment to fill it up. Each strand. You put the filling in the middle, and you roll it or pinch it together. Okay? That's that. One last one. Okay. Now we have our 4 strands. I want to elongate them. Put them together at the end. So basically, to make the braid, you basically just keep on putting it in and in and in. So you take this one out and you put it in. You cross it like that. See that? And that's a fish braid. Like that. Okay? So I squeeze the ends and I tuck them in. And you can either put in one of this, but I truly, truly love seeing them grow in this. Because what happens is that the height gets exponential and it's much easier in the other. So what I do, I just drop them in there. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the lace on it. And let it go. And that's it. You can add all kinds of toppings. I like this everything bagel topping. Trader Joe's has it too. You can add sesame seeds to it. I love this one is Sia Dunez seeds. Sia Dunez seeds are actually really rare and they're actually particularly Persian. They're tiny little seeds that look like sesame seeds, but they taste like onion. They're really, really delicious. So it's basically something you can do. Let's put some everything bagel on it. And that's it. All right, so you now know to make a fishtail. Should we make another shape? What your challah is growing? Which shape do you guys want to learn?
The circle, the round one.
Let's do the round one. There's 2 types of round. There's a pull apart one, where you literally just pull it apart when it's baked, and it's really easy. At least in my household, I don't know about you guys, but my husband likes throwing challah. So when it's a circle, it pulls apart, and then he just tosses the challah. So I'm going to teach you both. I'm going to teach you also the one that doesn't get pulled apart. So the circle one also requires 4 strands. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to make those strands really fast. One, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so now we're gonna pretend like these are tic-tac-toe. We got our 4 strands. Making them nice and neat and long. And this is how we're gonna set them up. 2 together like this, and then 2 together in the top. And then we're gonna interchange them like they were a basket. Like that. Like a tic-tac-toe, like this. So now what we're gonna do, we're going to start pushing the one on the left over the right. And then the one on the right over the left. Basically, each of the legs over each other and press at the end. So you can either tuck it down or you can bring it up together and squeeze and then turn it around. And that's what you get. Okay? Again, remember this is being recorded, so you can see this, watch this over and over again as many times as you want to be able to get this. But this is a really adorable shape for Rosh Hashanah. Honestly, I love this shape almost every Shabbat. My husband likes it too. I like putting it in a round pan. Right now it's quite small, so if you go on its own, I'll probably bake it solo like this. Grow, place it, and that's it. You like it? All right. So now I'm going to teach you the one that's a pull apart. There you go. Cut some of them off. I'm going to spray this with oil. I'm going to put a little parchment paper. And what I'm going to do is literally, I'm just going to make balls out of it like this. Take paper, and this is what you do. You have your dough. What I like is I wrap it around and I start basically pressing it against my palm and wrapping the dough underneath it, and it gets really smooth on the top, as you can see. See that? It's like a beautiful little ball. It's not this, because this will yield this. Okay? It's this. You ready? You press it down and you basically start, it's like making pasta. When you make pasta, place it down and you squeeze it down, and the ugly part is in the bottom, but the pretty part is in the top. And we start putting the ball in our pan like that. Okay? And the better you get at it, the faster you can make them. Just like that. You want a little separation between them. Okay? Fast. That. That. And I'll do a little bit. Put one more there. The one in the middle should be slightly bigger, okay? That's it. When it grows, it will become like a beautiful crown, and then you can separate it after you split. That's it. Any other shape? Do you guys have any more questions? Okay, how is the challah for you guys?
Can I ask you, do you really only put one egg? I missed the beginning part.
So you mean in the challah or
In the
glazing?
dough.
In what? In the dough?
Yeah.
So it depends which recipe you have. We gave 3 recipes. The recipes are here. My recipe, which is the 5 pound of flour, doesn't have any eggs. The recipe for the Boston Mega Challah Bake has 1 egg, which
I was
yields.
there.
You were there.
Like 4 years ago.
Oh, that's great. And then we have the and then this one, actually, this challah recipe doesn't have any eggs at all.
Oh, wow.
This is for one. This is actually one that I did for kids. This is actually one, and actually this is the one I did with the students in Boston University. 1 challah. That's it. That's all that this one yields. It's just 2 cups of flour. It's very fast. So it's for a challah too. I think that your challah should be ready. Like, look, it's already getting. See that? There you go. It's probably already proofing really well. I mean, my kitchen is really warm, but should be almost there. I think you're ready to start braiding. If you guys want to braid, I'm happy to watch you and help you with any braid that you want. I'm happy to also show you a 6 braid. If you guys want to learn, although honestly, I think it's better to have a video of that because you gotta learn slowly. Those are a little bit more complicated shapes. There's so many shapes I've made that are in the shape of a key because after Passover, we usually make a challah in the shape of a key for basically abundance. There is challah. I often make a challah in the shape of a bunny rabbit because I have a bunny rabbit and my kids love it. And I also make challah in the shape of like that you saw with the circles, but I make it in the shape of a big cluster of grapes. It's another look that I like making sometimes when I feel like fancy. Is anyone shaping challah that I can help? So good? Let's see.
I tried your onion one. It's just mine came out a little bit too small, so I have like a 3/4 circle.
That's good. Small is fine. It's good. I'm gonna make another one of this one. I don't want to call it butter. It's margarine, but this one my husband goes crazy for. So I'll make another one of those. And by the way, even when you make the little circles, I still have dough. That's how much. When you make those little circles that we're talking about, to fill them out, like if you want to, for example, if you want to make even the same dough that I have here, it's the same dough you use for babka, by the way. If you have chocolate, if you have date paste, you can definitely fill it up with date paste and chocolate. You can just fill it in the middle. You can put any, like even biscotti, you know, biscotti, that really dense spread. It's like a cookie spread. You can put it in the middle and you can just close it like that. You can also put onions in the middle, you close it like that, and then you just put it all in the pan. It grows together and it's filled with any filling that you like. There's 1,000 amazing ways to make challah. Any other shape you guys want to learn? Good? Awesome. Any questions? Maya's smiling.
Maya went to the gymnastics team, but thank you. She really loved this.
That's so cute. Where are you guys tuning in from?
I'm tuning in from Great Neck.
Oh, okay, very nice. Excellent. Excellent. Very sweet. Sabrina, do you have a question?
Yeah, the onion challah, how do you know how properly the onion will cook inside? Like, how do you know if you don't
So
burn it?
that's a great question. Some people like caramelizing the onion before they put it inside the challah. My husband likes it with a little crunch. I like it with a little crunch too. When you caramelize it, it's good, it's delicious too. So it's really up to you. I guess lazy. I don't wanna have to do that step. But they sell caramelized onions out there. You can use instead. You could also, instead of putting it like that, rolled like that, you can also put it inside each strand. I'll show you how. You can basically, I'll make another onion for us. This time I'm gonna make it out of 3 strands. Here, make my strands. And then at this point, that's when you want to put the onions in there. I chop more onion here. We'll add the oil. Put some salt. Some sugar. That's it. Then we have that mixture that we made before. I'm gonna put it in the middle of the strand. So. And then you just have to basically hold it like this. And now the whole strand is filled with onion. Okay? That side. Same thing with the strand. Here. Goes really well. And go for our last strand. Sometimes I do a little bit at the top so that I know which kind of challah it is. Okay. Now we have our 3 strands next to each other. And then 3 when I like started in the middle. And then again, I'm going to put it in one of this. And that's it.
Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to add some onions in the top, the leftover onions, so that I know it's an onion challah, because otherwise I won't be able to tell. And that's it. And let it grow. I want to show you kind of how much they're growing. You see that? You want to basically let it grow enough. You know how sometimes you bake challah and then you see like your challah is almost getting like stretch marks and it's like growing and it kind of becomes it breaks a little bit in the oven. You know what I'm talking about? Has that happened to you before? Where like in the sides, it kind of starts coming apart, opening and breaking. That's because it didn't rise for long enough before putting it in the oven. But if you wait long enough until it's basically double its size, then that should not.
Thank you, Reyna. We actually have around 5 minutes left.
Perfect.
If anyone has any final questions?
Anybody else? Any more questions?
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for joining in.
Reyna, thank you so much for being our lovely hostess.
Thank you. This
You
was
did such a
great.
good job, and it was so informative and fun. This was
My
so
pleasure.
great. And thank you to everyone who joined in. Special thank you to Tova for being our tech behind the scenes and making all the tech stuff happen for this event. For Monica and Sabrina and Stephanie for helping to put the event together. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Also, if you haven't heard, IAJF is having another event next week. It's a virtual singles event with Zoom dating. Ladies are filled up, but please tell your brothers and your cousins to sign up, and maybe we can find them a nice wife. So,
good.
Thank you, everybody, and looking forward to seeing you more often at our next event.
Hey guys, thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Good night.
Thank you, Reyna.
Bye. See you soon.
Shabbat shalom.